Since you are one of the biggest band in the 90s, I would like to ask, what do you miss about the 90s?
Um, what do we miss about the 90s? Well, I feel like the 90s was a little bit more simple. And it was, sure, we were kind of interested in ourselves as individuals, but I felt that there was, you know, we were interested in a little bit more back then. And just how oblivious to how weird we were, too. You know, in the 90s, we did things that we look back on and think, wow, that was bizarre. And this might be for every generation to come, too. But as far as I'm concerned, I can look back in the 90s and go, we did a lot of weird things. Like, we dressed very strangely. We had strange haircuts that we probably wouldn't even consider today.
They might
So
come back, though.
they could, absolutely. But I think that's a wonderful thing, too, you know? How we weren't afraid to try those things, and we blindly rushed into those things a little bit, and we can still look back on it and be okay with it. So I think that's pretty wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely something I'd agree with. I mean, I think the 90s, it just, for me, I feel like right now with social media is such a wonderful thing because we're able to, you know, get the information really quickly. We're able to express ourselves. We're able to open those conversations, but I also feel like that immediate sense of judgment, feeling judged, and judging is more prevalent today, and I feel like there was an element of that in the 90s where I didn't feel that as much. I would say I had a little less gray in my beard, a little thicker hair, so I'd bring all that stuff back.
I would say I feel like things were a bit more tactile. Like you could really put your hands on things, like on CDs and on music, and you know, we had vinyls before that, and tapes, and then CDs. And now everything is very much online. I don't think that it's something that I miss, because it just is the way that the world is going. And that's okay. But yeah, things were simpler.
They really
But
were.
when you're younger, things are simpler too. Things are complicated in their own ways, but things are different.
And the other thing was that in the 90s, we didn't all have outlets to be ourselves completely. So now everyone can go online and expose themselves and be this and be that. But in the 90s, you just sat in your house and you had no outlet for that. So I think that was a healthy place to be also, where we actually had to live with ourselves as opposed to throwing ourselves out there right away. And that, you know, I think that the world benefits from people kind of living with themselves a little bit also.
Any other questions?
Hi, Mika from DJ from Revista Radio. So, throughout the years, have you thought of changing your music style? Since the 90s up to the millennium, it seems like a big jump in the music industry.
Yeah, I mean, we've done a lot of different stuff musically since we broke up, you know. And it really wasn't a breakup; it was more of like a break that turned into a long break. You know, because there was no definitive like this is over. It just we kind of got into different things, and our life took us in different directions. But we've always made music. I mean, maybe not Dave as much, because Dave became a yoga instructor, and he's pursued that for a while. But you know, Scott's been doing a solo record, you know, solo recordings, and also producing other people. Bob and I have been writing songs continuously the whole time, and kind of working on our craft, trying to figure out where we were going with it. But I think that with the Moffatts, this new thing, you know, there's hints of what we used to do intentionally, because you know, we miss, I think one of the things in the 90s that we do miss is just the overall simplicity of certain elements of music that were very melodic. There was a very melodic sensibility that happened in the 90s and before. And I think modern music, there's a lot of wonderful things about it, you know, more rhythmically. You know, they've really taken on a lot of rhythmic things that are interesting. But as far as the melody goes, they've sort of removed a lot of the melodic sensibilities that we used to have. And I think that people are craving that. I think people miss it. I don't think they ever said we don't want it anymore. I just think that certain things got hot and certain things got popular, and then it got forgotten a little bit. But I think people in general, if they hear a song that has a nice melody, they love it. And we kind of find, just reading comments on like our new single "So in Love," for instance, on YouTube, that has been brought up on hundreds and hundreds of occasions where people are stating, "Wow, I wish there was more music like this." And it was just an honest thing for us to want to do. It was nothing more than us just wanting to write something that made us feel something that we felt back in the day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Keith Cruz. So, since you're all back together, making music and creating album, how has the creative process changed with all of you?
Well, it's kind of unfortunate for me, at least, that I didn't write any of the songs with the four of us on this record, which is kind of sad. These guys wrote 2 songs together. And that would be wonderful if that could happen. And that's one thing that has changed, is that we actually haven't sat down, the 4 of us, and written a song like we used to. And hopefully we can make time to do that eventually. Really, that's the only thing that I know. I mean, making music is constant evolution. You're finding ways of communicating and telling your story, and just finding interesting ways of making it fun and better. So it's just constantly changing. It's nothing has stayed the same, to be totally honest. And that's maybe a double-edged sword, because maybe it would have been nice to keep, as you evolve, you forget things every once in a while. And the simplicity that I used to write with, and a lot of us used to write with, we were just talking about that, the simplicity of how we used to write is something that has evolved, and it's more complex now. So going back to that would be a wonderful thing, and trying to bring in those elements of simplicity would be great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Quick question. What is your favorite, or what's the most played track for each of you on Spotify or whatever music
Right
source?
now?
Out of any
Right now.
music, any artist?
Yeah, any artist.
Wow. I think for me, I do listen to a lot of the new stuff on the radio. I'm not going to say that I seek it out. I'll hear something every once in a while that'll be like, oh, that's great, or I love that. A certain song. I think Shawn Mendes has some really cool stuff. I think that Justin Bieber record, Purpose, had some really great stuff on it. In country music, a lot of people think, differently about country music over here because it's country and it's country and western. But country music is really doing a lot of stuff right now that's very reminiscent of the stuff that I grew up on. Even the music that we made, it kind of sounds a lot like the 90s. And so I do resonate with a lot of the country stuff. Scott's producing an artist called Luke Combs, who's probably he's probably the hottest artist in the United States right now in country music. And he's got some great tunes. He's got a song called Beautiful Crazy that's just huge. I think it'll probably be a hit over here. So, but I'll probably dive back into the old stuff and listen to some Ryan Adams or something like that.
I gotta say I'm with Bob on diving into the old stuff. So I listen to AC/DC, stuff like that, and Prince and whatever, but I don't really listen to modern music, I'm gonna be honest.
I just listen to whatever comes on. I like all music, really. I mean, if I don't like it, I'll still listen to it. But it's not like, there are a couple artists that I really like. Like, I like Robin. Robin makes some really cool, she expresses herself as a cool individual, and I like that about music. I like that people can create, or express their persona as art. So whoever does that, I'm all for it, even if I'm not a huge fan. I think it's great.
That's the question I get asked a lot, and it's interesting because I don't listen to a lot of music because we make so much music. It's difficult when you're making so much music, when we produce it all, we write it, we play the instruments. So it's a full day of just making music, and the last thing I want to do is turn music on, when you're done. And I have a family too, so it's like, by the end of the day, I kind of hate music. You know, it's like I'm tired of it. You know, I don't want to hear it. But the one, I would say I would agree that if there's one song, there was one song that did come out recently, and it's kind of fun. You might think it's funny. But the one song I actually did seek out and listen to a few times was actually the Bieber song, "What Do You Mean?" And I liked that song. You know, there was something about it that made me kind of go, I'll check that out again. You know, but as far as new music, I'm just not listening to the radio. I just, you know, too busy with our own stuff.
Hi guys, I'm Usual from Philippines Star Coach.
Hi.
Were you guys aware that back in the day when you released that song, If Life Is So Short, I'm not sure if it was part of the marketing, but some people here actually thought that your lives were also cut short. Were you aware of that?
Like that we died?
Yeah.
Like we died.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was
Well, I think
morbid humor.
because like we did a tour and we came to the Philippines on our last Asian Southeast Asia tour, and I did hear that like people thought that we had died in a plane crash because they just didn't hear anything about Moffatts.
Well, that's actually part of the reason why we wanted to do the last tour, was because it did, like, looking back, it felt, whoa, we never thought about this. We just went on with our lives. But we never considered what everyone else over here thought. They were so into our music. And all of a sudden, we weren't over here anymore. Like, we had nothing to do with social media, really. We weren't doing anything. So one of the things that was driving me, at least, was to come back here and at least say goodbye or do something, you know, to do something right. You know, because I felt that was a bit weird, just kind of taking off like that and not saying goodbye properly and closing the book, at least. And now it's open again, which is pretty sweet. So instead of closing the book, we open a new one, which is pretty awesome.
It is funny though how stuff like that can turn into, you know, theories.
Part of that tour was because the song was so successful and it's a
Yeah.
good song.
You know, honestly, being back here, when back in the 90s when I would listen to If Life Is So Short, it was probably one of my least favorite songs, just to be honest, and on that record. But since I've been over here, it's become my favorite song. And it's taken on a whole new meaning. I don't listen to it like I'm listening to Moffatts. It almost feels like it's a different art band, you know, because it was so long ago. But I do love that song. I love the meaning of that song. I love the fact that it seems timeless for people. And I love the message of it too. I think it's a great message.
I'll ask you, what were the circumstances behind the writing of that song? Because it's a departure from Miss You Like Crazy.
If Life Is So Short?
Yeah, Life Is So Short. Yeah, I think
We wrote that song, yes, the four of us. I believe it was the four of us who wrote this.
You're asking what the song was about?
Story behind that song, how did it come up?
The background story?
How
Yeah,
about written?
because
Okay.
you were so young at the time and you came up with such a title.
That was at the Williams in Dallas.
Yeah, we were actually in our management's office, and I think our dad had told us to go into a room and write a song because we needed a song. And we sat downstairs in an office. I think it was myself, Scott, and Sheila, our stepmom, was writing it as well. And Clint was there, and I think it was all four of us actually. Yeah. And to go back and rethink like how the hook came about, I have no idea. But it's a good one.
Sorry for the letdown.
Thank you for the question, though.
I do remember a little bit about that though. Just before we started writing that song, one of the things I remember is that we were doing prank calls, because there was
We were doing that a lot.
We did this a lot, you know. There was some group or something that had done this, and so we would grab phone books, and when our parents weren't around, we would grab a phone and we would just kind of go through the phone book and cold call people and just sort of prank them, say things over the line, and they would, you know, maybe take it or whatever. But I remember before we wrote that song, we were doing a little bit of that. That's all I remember about that session. It was so much fun.
Maybe that was the inspiration.
Could have been.
Any more questions, guys?
Hi, my name is Flourish from Malin to Life. Just like to ask, there's a trend that some artists, seasoned artists, actually make collaborated with theater, making their songs into a theater play. So would you consider, given that you have now a ton of songs that you have made throughout the years, have you considered making a play or a theater play about your songs or about you or something like that?
I don't think I've ever considered that. But it's not a bad idea. I mean, if somebody wanted to do that, I think it'd be really cool. But, I mean, I do think there is enough of it is strange because that record chapter one spawned so many hit songs. I think in this country in particular, I think like out of the 12 songs, I think 8 of them were singles. So it'd be cool. I mean, if somebody wanted to spend their time making a play about our music, I mean, that would be honored.
Do you write plays?
How about if you would be? Are you also considering having like a documentary or probably something like a Netflix special or something like that?
I like your ideas. Take the ball, man. Do it, man.
We've actually been throughout the Southeast Asia tour. We have been filming a bit, just to compile and save some memories from this trip. But we don't know if or when anything would be released. But there's always a possibility. We're trying to create the material for it. So.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have another question.
Hi, my name is Gracie. Can you sing with us your latest single?
Yeah, for sure. You ready? One.
Human mic stand.
This one's called So in Love. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe we should wait for that. Yeah, like it's like a Justin Bieber song. Take 2. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Lit the candles, lock the door, kick the sheets to the floor, shook the pictures off the wall. Every moment I recall the taste of the kisses you left on my lips, and it's still in my head. The nights of love, I won't forget you. I'm so in love with you. I'm so in love with you. In my mind I have tattooed each and every curve of you, and I know my way around you in the dark. I know you by heart. The taste of the kisses you left on my lips, and it's still in my head. And the nights of love,
Lahat po. So,
That was incredible, and that is just a little taste of what we can expect at the show on the 30th. Do we have any more questions? No? Yeah, okay, so I feel like that was a perfect end to this open forum.
Thank
We're
you,
gonna
everybody.
wrap up.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Rachel.
thank you guys so much. Thank you, Rachel. Yeah.